Okay, so once you tell people you're celibate and you're waiting until marriage to have sex and things like that, for some people, they're like, you know, how are you doing this? How are you able to date? Like, they act like it's the end of the world, and it's really not. Hey y'all, what's up? So this is video number 3 pertaining to my celibacy journey and my experience and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna start making these videos like way shorter. I just don't want them to be too long, because if you're like me, I have a really short attention span. So yeah, I'm gonna try to keep them under 10 minutes. But anywho, today I'm gonna be discussing how to date when you're celibate and how dating is when celibate and the type of people you're gonna run into. And I'll share a little bit about how my experience has been. Because so once you tell people you're celibate and you're waiting until marriage to have sex and things like that, for some people, they're like, you know, how are you doing this? How are you able to date? Like, they act like it's the end of the world, and it's really not. And I think that's really just due to lack of wisdom in this area, and that's fine. But it's not the end of the world, and there are a lot of people who do wait until they're married to have sex, and they're doing well. The process was well, and yeah. So also, I want to throw this out there. This is not what this video is about, but just because you wait until you're married to have sex doesn't mean your marriage will not go through any issues. Does not mean your marriage will be perfect. So just throwing that out there. It's more so about your relationship with God rather than your spouse, if that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, dating while celibate. It is, for some people, I'm not going to say for some people, because it has been a little bit more challenging, especially since we're in a culture and a society where sex is everywhere. It's in songs, it's on TV, it's in movies, it's, in videos. It's literally everywhere. It's easy to access. So when you're living in a society where that is the case, and when you're choosing to do, opposite of that, it can be challenging and more difficult than typically. So if you're someone who, used to live this lifestyle and it was a bit easier for you, and dating people or meeting people was easier at least, or connecting with people because y'all share that in common, this can be very different, but it's not impossible, right? So I always say, when you're dating, or when you're celibate and you're dating and you're putting yourself out there in a dating scene, there are going to be 3 types of people that you meet. I think it's really 4, because I'll slightly talk about the 4th person. But for the most part, there's 3 types of people you're going to meet. The first person you're going to meet is, the person who you go out with them. Also, I want to throw this out there. I think it's always better to tell people earlier on than later. So when I say that, I mean, don't wait until date 5 or 6 or 7 or 4, 5, 6, or anything like that to say, hey, I'm celibate, because you don't want that person, you don't want to mislead that person, you don't want that person to put you in a position where you're uncomfortable or do anything that's just, not really sitting well with you, because they have their own intentions in mind and they think you're on the same page as them when really you're not. So if you don't communicate with someone, they're not going to know, this is what I'm on, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm sticking by. So I think it's better earlier than later to share this information. And then you allow that person to decide whether or not they want to continue on with this or not. And be like genuinely have peace about whatever they say. So anywho, going back to the 3/4 types of people. The first person is the person you express this to them, and I'm waiting until I'm married. This is something I've been doing. This is something I want to continue to do. Blase. You determine how much you want to share with this person. It ultimately depends on the relationship, the connection, things like that. And this person's like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. That's not really something I do. I want sex to be part of the relationship. I want sex to be part of whatever this is we have going on. So it's very likely you're going to run into this person. And I'm going to be speaking from a woman's perspective, of course, but this is for men as well, because there are men out there. Yes, there are men out there that are waiting until they're married to have sex. It's not just women. So men have these same encounters, with women who are not waiting until they're married and who, is going to do everything they can to try to tempt them to have sex, right? So going back to this first person, so you tell them, they're like, this is not going to work. Blase. Cool. I feel like this is one of the easiest situations if you tell this person early on, because it's like there's no, there's, I'm not going to say no strings attached, but there's like, now I know what your intentions are, or maybe that wasn't just strictly their intentions, but I know what you ultimately would have wanted, and I know that I wouldn't have been able to give that to you. So you putting that, you expressing that you're waiting, and then them saying, this is not going to work. Cool. Well, this is not going to work, and then you go your separate ways, and then that's that. Okay, so that's the first person. The second person you're probably going to run into is the person that is on the same thing that you're on. They're waiting until they're married. They're like, okay, thanks for sharing, because that's what I'm doing as well. Y'all have a mutual understanding. Okay, this is not, okay, now no, it makes sense. Okay, so I said the fourth person, but this person, it's two parts to it. So this person, like I said, they said, I'm waiting until I'm married. I've been on this journey, and you go into, deep conversation as to why you're waiting. Both of you guys are waiting. This is good, because when it comes to those moments where there's an attraction there, or you're in certain environments or something like that, you can hold each other accountable, because it's like, no, we said we're going to do this. Let's retract. Let's get things back, back how they were, because we don't want to tempt each other, and we don't want to put each other in that position. So these are like the best people, because you're holding each other accountable, because you all have the same goal, the same, everything is the same. It's aligned. And that makes things easier, because you're going to get tempted. If you're attracted to this person, it's impossible that you won't have moments where you're like, okay, listen, I don't know if I can do this, but you can. Okay, so the third person is slightly tied into the second person. This person expresses that they're on the same thing that you're on. However, their actions don't really align with that. So they're like, I'm waiting until I'm married, but they have, initially they have their own reasons. So maybe it's because, they've been out here just wilding, and they're like, what, I want to wait. They don't really have a foundation as to why they're waiting. They don't have a solid foundation. So it's no spiritual or faith-based reason. They're just doing it because they need a break. And then once that break is over, or they feel as though, okay, I think I want to have sex again, you'll find yourself in positions where, they're saying certain things to you, or doing certain things, or motioning certain things, and it's just like, that's not what you said. I thought you were, it's contrary to basically what they initially said. So you have to watch out for these people, because they'll say this. I don't know the reasoning behind it. Everyone is different. Some people say it because they believe it, and some people say it because they want to say everything to try to get you to a place where, y'all are close, they can trust you, and then boom, let me come at this person. So that's the third type of person you're going to meet. The last type of person that you're going to meet is the person who is not celibate, has any plans to wait until they're married to have sex, but respects the fact that you are. So this person, they're like, that's amazing. I respect it, and I still want to continue to pursue you. If it's a guy, women, they're going to still, want to talk to you and get to know you. But this is another type of person that you will have to keep an eye on, because if this person is choosing to continue a lifestyle, meanwhile you are like, I'm not doing that, that's not what I want, it's going to be hard to be equal in that situation, because if this person expresses that, you know, I respect it, meanwhile, they're still trying to put you in certain positions and tempt you and make you feel uncomfortable, or like ultimately draw you closer to what they're trying to do, then you're going to have to end things, because it's not going to work. You're going to always keep bumping heads, because you're going to be put in situations. Sorry, y'all. You're going to constantly be put in situations where you're tempted. No one wants to be with someone who constantly tempts them or makes them want to do things that you've gotten delivered from, or things that you don't want to do. And that's for anything, not just sex, but anything. So yeah, you have to really be mindful. But then again, there are also people who respect what you're doing, and as a result, they're like, okay, you know, like, I really respect what she's doing. I think I want to, you know, learn more about it. I want to, you know, create my own relationship with God and allow him to change me. So there's people out there who wants to, as a result of you living a certain lifestyle or making a certain choice, they decide, you know, I think I want to do that. But this is the thing, men and women, you cannot force, you cannot project your decision, your lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, onto a person, and think that that's going to change them. Ultimately, the person has to want to change. They have to want to surrender this to God and say, God, I don't want to continue to, I want to live a life of purity. Sexual purity. I don't want to continue to, you know, just give my body to anybody and things like that. That's a decision a person has to make. You cannot, as much as you want, you cannot throw the Bible in their face. You can't do all these things where you can, but it won't work. The person has to ultimately want to change. So when you're in a situation where you're celibate and the person you're interested in or you're in a relationship with, maybe you all have gotten to the point you're in a relationship with them, and you find yourself, you know, this is not working. This is not working, or you're constantly being tempted. You're going to have to reevaluate it. Relationships I haven't heard personally of a lot of relationships that have been successful in situations like this, where you're celibate and the other person is not, because it's not equal. So yeah, but that's my spill on dating while celibate. You can do it. It is possible. There are people out there who are celibate. There are people out there who are staying sexually pure until they're married. Yes, it is more challenging. Yes, it requires you to do more, I'm not going to say digging, but have more patience. But it's not impossible. And when you do, you know, when you do have these standards and these boundaries and you're not budging on them, it allows you to like wean people out easily, because it's like, okay, I see what you want. I see what you want. It makes things, I think it makes it easier. So if you have not watched my video on boundaries, make sure you watch it. I discuss a few boundaries. I'm going to do a part 2 to that, because it's a lot of information that I did leave out, as well as my story time of the time that I gave into my temptation. I definitely recommend that you watch that video. And I look forward to the next video. I don't know what I'm going to be sharing yet, but it'll be interesting. Please be sure to follow me on social media. If you have any questions, as always, you can DM me and I will get back to you when I can. So thanks, y'all, and I'll see you guys next time.